first became involved with the Chamber back in 2007 as a member, and then I quickly joined the Community Service Committee to get to know people a little bit better. And then eventually I went on the board, and at the time that I was the board chair with Steve Jones, Gene Osborne stepped down, so I resigned from the board and applied for the job. And the funny story about that is the week before I had said to my mother, that's a job that I would love to have someday, never anticipating that it would have happened so quickly. But I always feel so blessed and fortunate that the board took a chance on somebody so young to take on this important role in the community.
I've been a member of the Chamber for about 4 or 5 years now, just when I started working at Manock Law Firm. I guess about 3 or 4 years ago, I think Danielle cornered me at the expo and said they were looking for a lawyer to be on the board, so I said, of course, I'd be happy to help out. And in the past, about 2 years ago, I was the vice chair of the board, and now I'm the chairman of the board.
I began with the Chamber sometime around 1999, year 2000. Chris Brennan, who was then my boss and my friend and colleague, was coming off the board and suggested that I participate on the Chamber board. It's been a very happy relationship ever since.
I started with the Chamber pretty much from the very beginning. There was a group that had been having some preliminary meetings when I came in, but I came in about 6 months into the very formation of it, and I was proud to have served as the second overall chairman of the board, 1996 and 1997.
The Chamber of Commerce didn't really exist, so I was approached by a couple of men who were trying to start the program. In fact, one of them was Jim Forestier, who just recently passed away. And they were very interested in getting a chamber up and running. They started approaching people after them talking about it for a while, and I'm really not sure how long it was that they talked about it, but they started approaching some people in the community. And at the time I was doing community development in the healthcare industry and marketing, and I got approached, and we created the Chamber of Commerce out of just those conversations.
I got involved with the Greater Lowell Chamber of Commerce through a colleague of mine, Ted Colley at the Lowell 5. He had been a long-standing board member and was getting off, and I was a young professional, not even 30, and he asked that I take his spot. So I started off with the Chamber by joining the Community Service Committee, where I probably sat on that for about 2 years before I became a full-fledged board member. And in addition to being a board member, I was a co-chair at one point through my tenure at the Chamber.
I was involved with the Chamber, I think maybe about a year after it was started 20 years ago. And I'll never forget this because it was Jack O'Connor who called Uniglobe World Travel, and he wanted somebody from the travel sector to get involved with the Chamber. So I started getting involved in the Chamber, and then I was elected to the executive committee on the board along with Kathy Plath.
Well, you know, I was part of the Chamber of Commerce for 10 years out of the 20 during, now that you're celebrating the anniversary, and during that time, so many things have changed. Location has changed, the expo has changed. We acquired the Downtown Lowell Business Association. We also acquired the town of Billerica for their business community. So while I was there, lots of things were happening.
Since I became president of the Chamber, I think one thing that is our strength is some of the partnerships that we've formed. So we partner with other organizations to do mega mixers every month, where we'll partner with folks like the Chelmsford Business Association, the Neshoba Valley Chamber of Commerce, Middlesex 3 Coalition, Billerica Alliance, just to name a few. And it gives our members access to their members as well. So you get so much more out of your membership that way.
It's a well-oiled machine today. When we started, we would have a lot of meetings in different restaurants and establishments.
There were about 5 of us to begin with, and then it expanded a little bit, and you know, you had 7 or 8 people, then you had 10 people. And
we had no staff, no members, and just really was a grassroots organization, and it's one of the reasons that I know all of us from the beginning, looking at the Chamber today and how vibrant and connected it is, just makes us all so very proud. It makes you feel like the work that you did years ago is really paying dividends.
You know, I think what they do so well is that they bring the business community together.
It's just everything is, you know, bigger, better, more involved, more aspects to it, and everything's just growing.
Organizing different events. I think one of the events that gave us credibility was the first Chamber Expo, and I was very much involved with that expo with Karen Bell, Kathy Plath, Georgia Nastis, Jim Forrester, Bruce Robinson, a lot of people.
When I first became involved with the Chamber, you know, things had been going really well under the leadership of Fred Faust. I believe Art had been our executive director at that time. But during my tenure, we actually lost our executive director and had to go through a search. So that was very interesting to me.
I brought Karen Bergeron on, I brought Patty McLaughlin on, Sue Zakra did some time there. A lot of people know Sue out in the community.
I work with so many great people who I feel like I've sort of grown up with professionally now.
The staff is so tremendous at the Chamber. We have our accountant Patty McLaughlin, who's been there for 12 or 13 years now. Karen Bergeron, who everybody knows has been there for 8 or 9 years. And then we have Emma Brooks, our new event and communication coordinator, as well as Nancy Crocker, who's our senior volunteer. The Chamber is just so wonderful to work with every day because of the staff. So I have to give them kudos as well.
I have made some lifelong friends from the very start of my involvement with the Chamber of Commerce, but I think today you can communicate in a number of different ways.
I always follow the Chamber. I've been a staunch supporter from when they got their first website to all the social media that's going now under Danielle's leadership.
It's just watching that transformation to what it is now, the things you're doing now, it's become very high-tech.
We do social media trainings along with Lowell Telecommunications.
It has just grown and gotten stronger and more media savvy.
So we've done YouTube days at the Chamber where we've shot, edited, and uploaded videos for our members.
I think social media has really changed the way people do business.
So when you're a member of the Chamber, you get to come on our weekly radio show for free, our monthly television show for free.
One of the things we started, go figure, it was my idea, to have business mixers where you would go out after work and socialize.
We have at least 2 free mixers a month. We provide free social media training. A lot of great access to things happening on our website. There's so much value that comes along with being a member, because when you're a small business, it's so important to get as much for your money as you can, so we strive for that. There's also a lot of younger people that have become involved throughout the years, which is really exciting.
All ages are represented, and I've learned so much from some of the young leaders that are emerging in Lowell, and I really feel as though the future is bright.
I remember the first time, you know, doing the expo, we weren't quite sure of what to expect, but we certainly pulled it off, and people were really, really creative. I was representing a travel agency at the time, and I trucked in beach sand to put on the Chamber floor. I don't necessarily know if that would be allowed today. I remember one of the other expos that we did when the Songus Center opened up, and we had ordered all of these balloons, and helium wasn't really allowed in the Songus Center because it got stuck up in the ceilings.
At the time, we had the gentleman, he was known as the Mensch of Malden Mills, Aaron Fernstein, who was in national demand at the time, came and spoke at our first expo ever, and it just added such a dimension and gave the Chamber instant credibility, and it's not a funny story, but it's an important story for the history of the Chamber.
I've always found one of the most interesting things about the Chamber was the mystique of Karen Bergeron, is how does somebody always have that much enthusiasm and is always that upbeat and have that much energy. And so I figured, you know, maybe it's something she eats. And so one of the mornings of one of the breakfasts, I sat at Karen's table, and Karen had a chance to sit down and eat eventually after she did all her job of making sure the event went off smoothly. And there was the whole spread, the eggs, the bacon, the potatoes, and the fruit. But instead, Karen decided to come over with a plate full of 6 cartons of yogurt. And that was her breakfast. So, read into that as much as you like if you're looking to be as energetic and positive as she is.
I'm just really proud of what you guys have done with what we started. So I'm real happy to be here today and talking about what it was like in the olden days.
It's been a privilege to watch from the sidelines. At the beginning, as I said, we had very little to start with, and seeing what it has evolved in today just makes us also very, very proud of the organization.
I commend Danielle and her staff today for all the great work that they do. They took over from where I left off, and the Chamber is in a wonderful place today, and I am certainly happy to be part of the 20th anniversary celebration. So thank you and congratulations.